Welcome back, guys, for the final time to Gotta Get Back, the Samurai Jack review show, guys. Welcome to the series finale, episode 62. Welcome to Project Potter. If you haven't been here before, my name is Kyle, your host. This is a review, guys, of Samurai Jack. Every single episode, we do a recap of the episode. We do a favorite character, a favorite scene, score out of 10, and some trivia at the end. So yeah, guys, welcome here. There's a lot to get to. There's a lot of emotions and things that happen. So I'm going to do my best to recap. We're going to have some special segments at the end here. But I just want to say off the bat, guys, thank you so much to everyone who has joined me on this journey that we went through with Jack here, and the highs and the lows. And thank you for checking out Project Potter. Thanks for checking out the other content on the channel. And yeah, this one was heavy, but a good, albeit a flawed, but a good finale, I think, nonetheless. And here we go. Okay, guys, so episode 62, the finale kicks off action-packed. So we immediately open up to, we see the Scotsman's castle, and it's one of his daughters riding on like a deer, and she runs in, and she's like, "Father," and he's like, "Shh, I know, I'm watching." And it's like all of them watching, and then the TV is just the pit of hate. And then we get this sequence where everyone in the world is watching. I think the Scotsman says, like, yes, the whole world knows. And so we then cut to the ravers, and they are raving and dancing to the music, and the music stops, and they look over at the screen, and it's the pit of hate. We then get the Tricerquins, I think is their name. They are, we haven't seen them in a bit, but they're looking at their TV underwater, which doesn't make a whole bunch of sense, but that's okay. And then we see the Woolies, who are now kind of dressed in like monks, but they look on their TV, they're seeing the pit of hate. The Jump Good crew is looking up, and the leader's like an old man now. They've got a little TV in the clubhouse, but they've got the pit of hate. We see the three blind archers. We see the little dogs that Jack helped in the early seasons go into Mouths. There's like the house or something, I don't know. Then we see the robots that Jack helped fight Mondobot. And then we cut back to the Scotsman. And this is awesome because we get the classic Samurai Jack opening. So the opening that we saw for the first 4 seasons, it turns out that Aku is broadcasting this, and this is so cool. And because Aku obviously voices the intro, it's like, oh my God, dude, the intro that we've been seeing for 4 seasons before the 5th season, like was this broadcast. So it's so cool that they retconned that. And so they're all watching this, and basically Aku is telling us what happened. And obviously we as the audience know, undo the past, it is Aku. But it's funny because they show it, it's the original animation, the original voice actor, it's super great. But then when Jack is like going through the portal, this is all reanimated. And so he's like, undo the future that is Aku. And then he's like, not. He does his best Borat impression there. He comes up and it's Aku's face, and he's like, the samurai has been captured. And Jack comes up there, and he's like pinned to the wall. And the sword is like mounted up there, and he's like, your hero has been captured. He's like, all hope is lost. He's like, it's time to watch the samurai die or whatever. And everyone's like, oh my God, I can't believe it. They're like, not Jack. Everyone is so sad. And Aku is like, yes, after so many years, he's like, it's time. And then Aku has this funny scene where he's like, time to die, samurai. And he forms like a dagger out of his hand, and then he's like no, and he forms another one, and he's like, wow, after all these years, he's like, I never really thought about this. He's like, I don't know which one to use. And so evil Ashi is standing in front of Jack, and Jack is talking to her. He's like, Ashi, you need to fight. He's like, Ashi, he's like, I know you're in there, you need to fight. And this is like Jack's only hope, really. And so we cut in on Ashi. On the outside, it's all calm, and it's just evil Ashi standing there. But on the inside, she's literally like pushing against the darkness, and she's popping her head out, and she's trying to fight. Aku is still messing. He's like, how about this one? He's like, the madness. He's like, I can't decide, which is funny. Aku is always funny, honestly. Even though he's like such a dark character and so evil, it is funny because he's like he's the most comedic villain probably in animation history. So he's like, oh, you know what? He looks down at evil Ashi, and he's like, daughter, he's like, will you do me a favor? He's like, kill the samurai. And there's this really creepy shot where evil Ashi is standing there, and her head just turns all the way around without her body moving. And she slowly walks over, and she gets close to Samurai Jack, and he's like, Ashi, please, you must fight it. And she has just like a pincer. It's like a little like snake thing. and she's like, she winds back and she's about to kill Jack. And then the roof kind of explodes and there's like smoke that comes through and it knocks Jack off the wall. And he's like, what is this? And it's all of Samurai Jack's companions. How they got there so quickly, I have no idea, but it's literally like everyone that Jack has ever helped is coming in. So the Triceraquins come in, the little dogs come in. We get the blind archers who come in and they're throwing all these archers at them. The jump good people come up and he's like, flying monkeys? And then the guy goes, no, jump good. So that's funny. There's like little missiles coming in there and it's 300 and they're like, the 300 stands for Samurai Jack or stands for 1 or whatever. And this is really cool, but it's like all of these missiles and stuff going at Aku, and it's not hurting him at all, but he's like, huh? He's really just like doing it. And he's like, what is the meaning of this? And so Jack gets knocked off the wall, like I said, and he's freed. And so he starts running towards the sword. And right before he's going to get there, evil Ashi comes up and she's on fire and she's in his way. And she's still fighting. And obviously, like Ashi is fighting, but she hasn't gone through yet. So Jack has to like avoid her punches there, and he has to get around there. He's so close, but we get the 3 blind archers and the woolies, and they're all working together, and they're all throwing stuff at Aku. So it's like all these different things coming at him. It's really cool. And he's like, no, he's like, insects. He's like, you know what happens to insects? Insects need to be squashed. And Aku kills like a whole bunch of the 3 blind archers. And then when he lifts his hand up, it turns them all into like Aku like minions. And so they're now like creepy because they're like, they have like this creepy like roar or like scream. And so they are just fighting everyone now. And they're slowly taking out like the different people one by one. Jack has got his hands full of evil Ashi. She's shape-shifting and she's fighting. The Aku minions start to, or like the Aku clones, they start taking out everyone. But then the Scotsman comes in and he's playing his like phantom bagpipes, and it's cool because it's leaving like this trail, and all of his daughters are like on like reindeer basically, and they come in, and the Scotsman's bagpipes are super, super powerful. And I know he said it's like Celtic magic, but it's a little overpowered, I think, in the finale, but we'll get into that. But he jumps down and he goes to give Jack like a high five, and he goes right through him, and he's like, oh yeah, I keep forgetting about that. He's like, you're dead? He's like, oh, sort of. He's like, it's a long story. But he's like, I'm here with all my daughters. And then there's a great shot where it's like Brady Bunch style, and it's like he names like 20, 25 like women names at least. And he's like, there's Brumilda and this and that and this. And it's like, and he's like, you can pick your choice. He's like, I'll be proud to call you family or whatever. And Jack's like, I'm sorry, but no. And he's like, what, you're too good for my family now? And he's like, no, I just met someone. He's like, oh, who is it? And then he's like, Jack turns and he's like, her. And he turns to evil Ashi, and she's just like destroying everything. And he's like, oh, laddie, I don't think she's your type. So that was funny. And then we get the hype moment of the episode, guys, where guess who shows up? We get a big giant foot. Robo Samurai, dude. Robo Samurai is back. And so it's the robots that were with Mandobot, and they it's like a Power Rangers thing, basically, where the giant robot samurai comes up that Jack commandeered last time, or he was working on, and then they come up and it shows like zooms in on the head, and it's like the 5 of them, and they're like, we've commandeered this samurai to save you, samurai. And I was like, let's go, dude. And Aku is like, a giant samurai? He's like, what is that going to do? And then the robot samurai dude starts punching Aku in the face super hard, and like everything is impactful, and it looks like it's just kicking his ass. And this is like the only thing that does like real damage to him. And then it like throws him against the wall and rips his ears off. And I was like, damn, dude, that robot samurai is strong. Evil Ashi comes in and swoops Jack up, and so it like engulfs him. And so Jack is now like in the darkness now, also like trying to get to Ashi, and he hears Ashi faintly, and he sees her, but he's like literally pushing through the darkness. And then Aku says like, you know what is, like, Aku gets beat up by the robot samurai a little bit, and then he's like, enough is enough, and he like summons all of his minions back to him as Aku clones, and then he like gets huge and pours himself up into the sky, and it's like a black circle, and then it just starts absolutely raining like these Aku needles, and they are wrecking shop, dude. I mean, it is just like vicious. So definitely kills like a good amount of allies, where it's like anyone in a ship immediately down. It's coming through. It kills the poor robot samurai. It comes right through and kills all the robots right away. And I was like, oh no, they were trying to help so much, and they just got wiped out in an instant. And then this is where, so like, the dog ships are going down and 300 have to take cover and stuff, and it's still getting through. But then this is when the Scotsman plays his bagpipes, and it's like the waves are pushing back against it. So I was like a little overpowered. Like, I know you're using Celtic magic, but Aku, this is like Aku's ultimate attack basically, and like you're just pushing back against it. So I didn't love that part. But Jack gets over to Ashi, and she's like, "Jack, is that you?" He's like, "It's me." He's like, "But you need to fight." He's like, "You need to fight, Ashi." And she's like, "I can't." And he's like, "Ashi, you have to fight." And her face gets like swallowed by the darkness. And then right before it's completely swallowed, he says, "I love you." And it's really powerful. And he gets kicked out of the darkness basically, and he's thrown on the ground. And evil Ashi starts choking Jack and strangling him, and his eyes start to roll in the back of his head. And we think Jack is done for, but we knew that Jack got through to Ashi. And at the last second, she lets go. Jack is kind of like breathing there, and it retracts, dude. And we see Ashi, and her hair returns. And she just looks at him, and Jack is like, he gives like a weird, like a Chad smile. He's like, "What up, girl?" But basically, Aku comes over, and she's like, "Is he dead yet?" And she's like, "No. And he never will be." And I was like, "Oh, damn." And then Aku goes to like attack Ashi, and then she turns her hand into like one of Aku's claws, and she just like smacks it away. And then she's using like the super long like reach to combat Aku, and then he is like, he gets mad, and he shoots his eyes at her, and she shoots the eyes right back, and he's like, "Ashi, you have Aku's powers." And she's like, "Oh, I do." She's like, "Oh, I didn't even realize it." So she just easily grabs the sword, gives it back to Jack. And then what she does is does the like sonic time portal thing that Aku does in the pilot. And then she transports the both of them back to the past. And just like that, Aku is like, "Oh no." And so we get this scene where Ashi and Jack are going back through the past there. And it's pretty cool. They hold hands, and Jack is like relieved, and he goes back there, and all of a sudden Aku is like in his sword. And so this was, of course, the opening scene, and this is all reanimated, which part of me likes, and part of me is like, I really like the original style. So again, this Jack just looks a little off, but Jack puts Aku that's in his blade into the ground, and then Aku is like the iconic shot at the end of the pilot where he's like in the ground, and he tells him like, this is it for you, Aku. And Jack raises his sword, he goes to kill him, and he's like, "I don't think so." And that's when Aku does the time portal thing. And then Jack is like, "What is this trickery?" And he's like, "Aku," except it's weird because they revoice it, and in the pilot, it's like Jack falls down and he does like a really quick Aku. This one's like Aku. It's like, I don't know, it kind of ruined the magic of the first one. And obviously they had the new voice actor for Aku in this one, so it's a little off, but he still does a good job. But he's like, he tells him like, "Oh, samurai, we will meet again." He's like, "But you'll find that my future is law," or whatever. And then it's cool because we wait a second, and then immediately Ashi and Jack's portal comes in, and he's like, "You're back already." And then like Jack goes at him. Aku like shapeshifts once, but Jack is he's got the jump on him now, dude, and he's just absolutely destroying Aku. There's like one where he jumps up and he just like cuts down all the way down, and it slides across. It's not like the burning effect that they had in previous seasons, but it is like a yellow like effect that still kind of like evaporates basically. And I had a little bit of issue with this fight because basically Jack gets him, and I know he's got the jump on him, but Aku doesn't do any like crazy shape shifting. He goes into like these little pieces, which I get that Jack took away most of his power by surprise. But then he goes away, and Jack just jumps up, and he takes the sword, and he goes right through Aku's head. And it's like a slow-mo, it's a triple frame shot. And he basically puts Aku into the sword, it's just Aku's eyes, and then he says like, "No more," and he winds up and he throws it into the ground, and it literally starts going up like the pit of hate. And then we get like an outside shot, and it goes all the way up the tower from the bottom to the top, and then like we start seeing these explosions go out. Jack and Ashi are like running out, and then it explodes the tower, and he's like, he's not going to hurt anybody anymore. And this is like the end of Aku. Aku doesn't say anything like "damn you, samurai" or anything like that. So I didn't love this sequence. I would have liked to really see one last big hurrah from Aku, like shape-shifting and all these crazy things that we've never seen before. But Jack literally just like gets him, slices him a couple times, and then kills him. And I was like, felt very, very rushed for me. For a final battle for the series finale, he was fighting Aku. When he finally gets back to the past, he just slices him like 2 times and he's done. I don't know. I wasn't happy with that really. But anyway, we then cut to like a couple more shots where we see old characters. So Jack like hugs Ashi, and there's like this really beautiful like red background there. And then there's like a ship with like the Sultan that I think Jack helped one time. And he goes over to meet like the African tribe leader, which we saw in the Young Jack episode. And he hugs him. And there's like a couple of different characters, like the Vikings are happy. We get the 3 monks. Then we see like the Peter Pan character, which I don't remember that episode, but all the old characters are like celebrating basically. And then we get a wedding day between Jack and Ashi, and there's this really, really beautiful sequence where like Jack is happy and he's wearing this robe, and Jack's mother and the bridesmaids are like getting Ashi all dolled up, and they put on the like the lipstick, and they put on this robe, and she looks gorgeous, and it's like perfect setting, the light shining in. And then the pathway where we saw Jack as a kid running to his parents, it's like that big long runway. He's there. It's really, really gorgeous, and it's like all of the past characters are watching. Jack is standing there as Ashi's going down the aisle, and he's really happy, and everything is great, guys. And then Genndy decides to rip my heart from my body and take my soul from me, because it's so beautiful, and Ashi is so happy, and then her eyes get like very worried, and then Jack sees that and he gets worried. And then she faints to the side. She falls over. Jack runs after her. Everyone's shocked. And he picks up, he holds Ashi, and he's like, Ashi, what's wrong? And she just goes, without Aku, I would never have existed. And she fades away, and all that is left is Jack holding her robe. And dude, it is not even joking, one of the saddest things I've ever seen in my life. Like, it is so tragic and so beautiful. I don't want to say I'm glad that they made that choice, but it seemed like we were getting a happy ending, and everything was great. And for Genndy to pull that final twist, my God, it's so tragic, but it's so beautiful. And it's weird, because you think if as soon as he destroyed Aku, like the second he destroyed Aku, Ashi would have disappeared. But they like set the wedding up and everything, so we don't know. Presumably this was like sometime after that, but maybe with the way that the time paradox works, it's like he destroyed Aku and it took like time for the events to unravel, or I don't know. Obviously it's like time travel, and it's like fake anyway, but it was weird to me that like that wouldn't have immediately happened, like oh, we did it, and then like Ashi's like, I don't feel so good, and then it's like, oh my God, I killed Aku, but Ashi is gone. But it's way more tragic having it happen on the wedding day where she's walking. So it's beautiful. It's something I will never forget. But my God, Genndy took my soul directly out of my body. So Jack, obviously, it's so incredibly sad, and there's no dialogue after Jack and Ashi talk. So it's super crazy. So Jack is there. He starts crying. We kind of cut away from them. There's like the light on them, and everyone just looks so sad and shocked. And it's like, man, it felt very real. It's super sad. So Jack is like going through this misty forest now, where his hair is down, and he's riding this horse, and he looks so sad, and he's sitting down, and he like doesn't want to open his eyes because he's so depressed. And he goes down and he sits at the one tree. This tree over here, the one tree that he showed Ashi. The one tree that Aku did not destroy. And he sits there, and it's like, it's super, super sad, and everything is gray, and it's obviously to match Jack's mood. And he sits down, and a ladybug comes over, and I was like, this is where I started like tearing up watching the finale, because I was like, obviously a ladybug is how Ashi changed her mind about Jack, and how she kind of was shown the truth. And this is also like a reminder to Jack, like he's like, I have nothing, Ashi is gone. Basically, he doesn't say anything, obviously, but these are what he's feeling. And he sees the ladybug, and it looks at him, and that's like a reminder of Ashi and the memories. And the everything's gray, and the ladybug flies away, and Jack like puts a smile on, and it slowly pans out. and the light comes in and the tree is illuminated with color, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful shot, and the music's playing, and it just slowly fades to black, and that is how Samurai Jack ends. Okay, guys, the magic sword, the final magic sword of the series, it goes to Ashi. Without Ashi, dude, Samurai Jack is dead. There's no chance, even with the warriors coming after Jack. I mean, even with all Jack's allies coming, if it's not for Ashi, first of all, if Ashi doesn't fight, she kills Samurai Jack. She just follows Aku's orders and kills him, obviously. So their love prevails. And even if all of the people who Jack helped come over, if Ashi doesn't fight back, Aku just kills all of them. So it's like then, and then he kills Jack right after, and or Ashi kills Jack immediately, like I said. So Ashi gets the magic sword because she had to persevere and fight through like pure evil, and it was a part of her too. So I'm sure it was much easier for Aku to manipulate. But the love that she had for Jack shone through and broke through the pure evil that Aku had, and so yeah, she gets my magic sword. And I mean, whether or not she knew that, I mean, it sounds like she did know the way she tells Jack at the end, but knowing that she needs to sacrifice her life to save Jack's and still going forward with that is crazy. So, I mean, she does tell Jack to kill her before. So he says, like, he refuses last episode, and, you know, it turns out he didn't mean to, but he did kill her. But yeah, Ashi is the magic sword by far. Okay, guys, A Portal in Time. I don't like picking it, but it has to be the wedding scene where that shot where Jack is holding Ashi, and she tells him that without Aku I wouldn't exist, and then she just fades away, and it's just Jack holding her dress. Again, it's like heavy for me to even say it because it's so, yes, it's a cartoon, and yes, it's fake, but obviously it's based on real emotions, and you spend so much time with these characters, and Jack was through so much, and he finally gets Ashi, and he falls in love. And then they find a way to fight back Aku, and everything's great. And you're like, great, Aku is dead, and you didn't even think about the fact that Ashi is connected to him. We thought maybe she would like somehow vanquish part of Aku when she's freed, but it turns out a part of her, an essential part that kept her alive, is always part of Aku. And because Jack goes back in time, so this is where it gets tricky. Well, you know, we'll get into that in a bit, but just for the purposes of this segment, for the Portal in Time, it is that one heartbreaking, absolutely gut-wrenching scene where Jack is holding Ashi, and then she just she just vanishes, and it's just the dress that's left, and it's like, man, that is, talk about being left at the altar, dude. That is the worst possible thing that you could experience. So I feel for Jack on that one, and that is my heartbreaking but beautiful final Portal in Time. Okay, guys, score for this one. This one is tough. It's really tough to score because the ending is like unforgettable. Like you do not forget Ashi, and I did not forget going into the finale. And it's so sad because like I remember most of it, but then I was like, okay, they escape Aku, and then I was like, man, they started getting ready for the wedding scene and like the build up to that, because I remembered what happens to Ashi. I was like, man, this is so much more depressing now, knowing that everything is so beautiful, everything's set up, and Jack is happy, and Ashi's happy, and it's like, and it's all just for nothing, and it's just going to lead to heartbreak. And I was like, oh, just the way that they set it up, it's gorgeous. But I had issues with the finale. I felt like it was very rushed. This was a 22-minute episode like the rest of these episodes. I wish that this would have been either part 2 or a 2-parter, and I guess technically it was from last episode, but not really. I would have really liked this to be like a 45-minute episode. Like I thought that they could have really used the extra 20 minutes. The big battle was really cool, but it felt very rushed. And everyone coming in was cool, but then all of a sudden Aku was taking over, and then Ashi just was like, oh, I'm good. Like, I'm just going to get free. And then we're like, and then she's like, oh, by the way, I have his powers. Oh, okay, I can just go back to the past. Like, and because Aku destroyed all of the time portals, and we're like, oh, that's a huge problem for Jack. Like, how is he going to get back? And then for Ashi just be like, oh, I can just create that same one. I was like, all right, like it, I don't know. It just, I would have liked more. It was like a very convenient way for them to be like, oh, we can just get back. So with that being said, I'm glad that they had the Ashi twist, because it was all way too convenient for me, where I was like, it was a huge battle. All of a sudden Ashi's like, oh, we're good. I'll take down Aku. here's your sword. We're going to go back there. You kill him easily. By the way, we're good to go. So, yeah, it felt rushed. I really liked that they showed all the old characters. It was really cool, especially like going back and reviewing all these, like some of the characters that I like didn't really care about when I watched this in real time because it had been like so long since I watched the original Samurai Jack. I was like, okay, I don't really remember who those, like the Woolies. I was like, who are those guys? And like all that. But like now having to go back and review all the episodes, I was like, wow, this is really cool that we got to like see all of them again. So I really like that. But with that being said, I have to give it an 8.3 because I just, despite the incredible ending, it just felt too rushed. I was just like, there needed to be more expedition for a huge fight. And the fact that Jack goes back to the past and doesn't fight a shape-shifting Aku shapeshifts like once. And again, I know like people are going to say, well, Jack caught him by surprise. And so Aku wasn't ready. So Jack was ready. He knew he was going back to the past. So he knew he spent so much time in the future, like ready, planning his attack for Aku. So I get all that. But for a final battle between Jack and Aku, I don't need you to have Aku win, of course. I just need him to show some awesome, like all of the shape-shifting ideas that the creators and the writers had and the animators, throw those out in the final battle. So like, oh, remember we wanted Aku to shape-shift into this thing, like a huge bear or something? Throw that out there. Oh, how about this crazy, terrifying, I know he's done like a spider before, but like just anything, dude. It's like anything, like let's think of the scariest Aku thing that we can throw. This is his final attack. He's going to throw everything at you. He's going to have maybe a bunch of like mini Akus that come at you, like whatever, like just throw it at Jack. Instead, he shapeshifted once. Jack hits him, and then he's like this little thing. And it's like, I don't know. I just was very disappointed with that. Seeing everyone come back was cool. But yeah, Ashi, I think, was freed a little too easily. I really do like the fact that Jack said, I love you to her. And it's like, that's what pushed her through. So I do like that part. Obviously, the wedding scene is incredible and super. I'm so glad that they took that chance because that's very hard to do. It would have been super easy to give a happy ending and to kind of make it seem like they were getting that and then throw it on its head is great. I don't think anyone's going to forget that. But yeah, the reasons that it's rushed is, I think, is going to bring it down ultimately from being a fantastic finale for me. Okay, guys, the final Jack facts of the series. There is a whole bunch, but it's mostly just stuff that I just covered here. So once again, I'm not going to put things on the screen because there's just a whole bunch of stuff, but I will read them out here. So this is the official series finale of Samurai Jack. Thank God, because if it was Jack and the baby, oh my God, dude, I would have cried like a baby, even though I end up kind of crying like a baby in this one for other reasons. But so yeah, many of Jack's former allies and acquaintances returned from previous episodes to aid in the final battle. So we touched on these ones, guys. So we have the Blind Archers, Rothschild, and the Canine Companions, which I think were the little dogs that went to mouths. The Ravers, the Woolies, Max and the robots of Andromeda, which is the Mandobot robots, the Triceraquins, the Spartans, the Jump Good Monkey Man and his tribe, the Robo Samurai, which was dope, and the Scotsman. Also here, guys, all of Jack's teachers, except the Russian boyar, the Mongol warrior, the Egyptian priest, and Master Chu attended his wedding with Ashi. Instead, 3 Shaolin monks attended on Master Chu's instead. So that was cool. I saw them in the background there. And it says here they were likely deceased or unable to attend for some other reason. I would assume that they were deceased because why would they skip Samurai Jack's wedding? You know what I mean? He's like one of the most important people in the whole universe. So Jack was able to finally return to the past and successfully destroy Aku for good. And then I talked about, of course, here, tragically destroying Aku came with a cost. Ashi would cease to exist, and she was Aku's daughter. The same would apply to her sisters as well, but they were obviously already dead anyway, but they basically never existed. After the past Aku's destruction, everything he was responsible for in the future was undone. This may affect the existence and life of the people in the future, since Aku, in some ways, was the catalyst for their own existence, not to mention some events that have occurred. However, since no one else will suffer from Aku's tyranny anymore, Jack actually saved every race and planet in the universe from misery under his rule. So that's really, really cool. You got to think that like planets that were destroyed, that like retroactively gets put back in. Time travel is all super confusing every time. Even like when like Avengers Endgame did it, dude, I was like, it's like you understand it, but then you're also like, but how does that work? And so time travel is really, really fun, but it's always super confusing. But you just kind of have to throw that out the window and understand that like people like time travel and stories. So the fact that we had this whole journey with Ashi and it's like basically that never happened. It's not retcon, but it's all connected. So just take the good with the bad, I guess. There's also an ancient Chinese legend that links ladybugs with love. So the legend goes that when a ladybug comes to call, it is a sign that a true love will pay the person a visit, which is cool because basically means that even though Jack lost Ashi, whether Jack knew this or not, he sees the ladybug and it's like, oh, like someone else that's going to replace Ashi, not that you can ever replace Ashi, someone else is going to come and see. So in the current state that Jack's in, he never met Ashi, but this is like a sign that someone else that's going to take Ashi's role is going to see him like right after that. So that's maybe also why he was feeling better, and also just to remind him of Ashi's memory. So kind of like a double-edged sword there. Also here, guys, this also ties in with the red string of fate. According to the red string of fate, the two people connected by the red thread are destined lovers. Regardless of place, time, or circumstances, this magical cord may stretch or tangle, but never break. This myth is similar to the Western concept of a soulmate or a destined flame. So on the other hand, guys, this is like, hey, even though Ashi never existed in Jack's time, those things still happen. And it's like that ladybug signals like Jack and Ashi are always connected. They're always soulmates and they're always in love somehow. But, you know, whether that helps current Jack or not, or gives him any peace of mind, I don't know. But it is like gives him, I think, a little bit of peace as he ends the series. I touched on this, guys. The ending scene from episode 1 where Jack defeats Aku, but is propelled into the future, is completely reanimated with new voice work in this episode. This episode also reveals that Jack spent 50 years in the future, but was absent from his era for 10 seconds, which is crazy. And again, I don't know when they talked about this, or if Genndy just released this after the episode. That means for every second that passed in Jack's time, roughly 5 years passed in the future. So that's cool. The episode also features the old opening within the episode, including Mako's narration as Aku, which was awesome. The final portion, Now the Fool Seeks to Return to the Past, is a newly animated sequence, which I touched on. Mako is credited posthumously. I guess I've never tried to say that word out loud before. Post-mortem as past Aku, basically. This is the second and final episode in season 5 without the classic ending of will.i.am rapping Gotta Get Back, which again, I did not know was will.i.am until last episode. So of course it doesn't end like that. Jack sees the ladybug, lets it fly away in his hand before letting it fly away, similar to what happened where Jack's treatment of a ladybug was the first thing to change Ashi's mind about where she stood in the battle between Jack and Aku. The tree that stands under the tree Jack stands under in the end of the episode is the same one that Jack showed Ashi. Since Aku did not destroy it or the surrounding forest, its beauty was restored. This is also the first place where Ashi learned of Aku's destruction, and the tree resembles a broken heart, symbolizing how Jack felt when Ashi was erased from the timeline, in my heart as well. The Scotsman refers to his bagpipes as the phantom pipes of Lagavulin. I don't know how to pronounce that, but it's the name of both a small town in Scotland and a whiskey company that's located there. So that's neat. The shot of Jack mourning Ashi's death, alone under a tree with his hair flowing, is similar to the introduction of season 5 when he watches Aku's grasp on the past, present, and future. So that's interesting. Mako being credited in the episode, who voiced the original Aku, makes him one of the few voice actors who appeared at least once in every season. So that's awesome. There's a female vocal at the end of the episode, apparently, and this is Japanese for this unforgettable love I will not let go. So again, Jack is holding on there. The wedding scene in which Ashi vanished from existence is similar to the one in Garen Lagan, where Nia Tepelin vanished during her wedding with Simon, since her own existence was tied with that of the anti-spirals, similar to Ashi with Aku. Don't know what that means, but hopefully someone does. Ashi's body disappearing forever somewhat mirrors Yamato Tribe Knight Burai's death from the 16th Super Sentai season, Kyoru Sentai Zuranger. Don't know what that means as well. So a couple of Jack facts. I just have no idea what they mean, but wouldn't be the show without it. The absence of Jack's katana in the final scene as he overlooks the beautiful valley below him is symbolic of how, now that Aku has been vanquished, the sword has served its purpose. effectively allowing Jack to give up the ways of the warrior both in form and in spirit. So that's really cool. Jack and Ashi are the final two characters to speak in this episode, making them the final two characters in the entire franchise to speak, which is super tragic, but super cool at the same time. And then the end of the episode here appears to deliberately contrast the beginning of the series. The first scene in episode 1, the beginning, showed the warp tree in the middle of a wasteland that served as Aku's prison. The final scene of this episode shows Jack in a beautiful forest beneath the tree that would be the lone survivor of Aku's wrath in the now averted future. And then it says here also that the only confirmed characters to still exist in the past in the new future after Aku's demise is the Guardian, which is the Portal Guardian, which is strange because why would there be time portals now? But I don't know about that one. But anyway, it's the Guardian, the minions of Set, because they were still trapped in there, and Tengu. And Tengu is like the guy that held on to the old past, the one that makes Jack's new shoes. And then the White Ape Tribe. So for whatever reason, those are the only characters that are still confirmed to be in the future, or in the present, I should say. All other characters are unconfirmed, that they either still exist or maybe they never existed because of Aku. So it just shows you what Aku actually did for the future, or to the future, I should say. So there's a couple errors here, guys. When Jack attacks past Aku, Aku's eyebrows are missing in one frame, which is funny. Again, probably intentional, or they just didn't care. During the wedding, Jack's parents appeared to be the same age that they were when Jack was a little boy, whereas they were shown to be older after he completed his training and returned to defeat Aku in the very first episode. Jack's father was also highly emaciated due to his enslavement. And then there's kind of like a explanation here. They were likely being nursed back to health. Over time, they regained their health and strength, so that can be forgiven. And then we get into the last bit here, guys, with the temporal paradox. So this gets a little confusing, but the ending of the series appears to create a temporal paradox. If Aku was destroyed in the past, he wouldn't be able to visit his cult and provide the essence that impregnated the High Priestess. As a result of this, Ashi and her sisters wouldn't have been conceived and thus were erased from existence in the future, which is why Ashi disappears. Therefore, Ashi wouldn't have been able to produce, but this is where it gets confusing, because if that happened and Ashi was never existed or never created, Ashi would never have been able to produce the time portal that allowed Jack and herself to travel to the past so that Jack could destroy the past Aku. So that's all super confusing. But one explanation for this paradox is that if the Aku that created the future Jack was sent to, the explanation for this paradox basically is that Aku created the future that Jack was sent to. So since Jack has destroyed the past Aku, he has created a new future that replaces the one that Aku had created and sent him to. However, in turn, this would affect the existence of every single being in the previous future, and all of Jack's memories and experiences of the future he was sent to would be unmade since that future has ceased to be. So with all that confusing time travel talk, guys, that is the final set of Jack facts for the series. Okay, guys, so what we're going to do, we're going to have some special segments here. Normally that would be the end and I would give my goodbye, but since it is the series finale, once again, I want to thank everyone for joining me on this journey. So what we're going to do here, guys, for the finale, we're going to review the final magic sword numbers. So the final numbers here, you'll see over here on this side. So we saw that Samurai Jack had the most magic swords, as he should, with 12. So the top 5 here, Samurai Jack with 12, Aku had 5, Ashi had 4 in just the one season she was in. The Scotsman had 4 as well. I just gave Ashi the bump because she was more important in my opinion, although they were both great characters. And then the Emperor had 2. So that's running at the top 5. Those are kind of how the magic sword stands. So there, obviously this is an add up to 62, but because a bunch of characters and themes got like one-offs, then I didn't include those. I just included the most, which was Jack by far and away with 12, and then just kind of went down for a top 5 from there. So those are the final magic sword leaderboard or standings for Gotta Get Back. Okay, guys, so I just want to put up the kind of the recap of the scores here. So you'll see the scores over here. So starting with season 1 here, episodes 1 through 13, my highest rated episode from that one was Jack and the Lava Monster, which was episode 10 there at a 9.4. So that was my favorite one from season 1. Season 2 here, guys, we had Jack and the Ultra Robots at a 9.3 for my top episode there. For season 3, we had Jack in the Haunted House, which is just an absolute masterpiece, dude. That was a 10 out of 10 that I gave for that one. Season 4, we had episode 50, which was the Tale of X-49 as a 9.5, which was my favorite one there. And then for the final season here, guys, you'll see the scores. And my favorite episode was the one where Jack makes the tea with a 9.3. So with all that, you have that all up, guys. Just want to give my top 5 definitive episodes of Samurai Jack. So number 1 is episode 35, which is Jack in the Haunted House at a perfect 10 out of 10. Absolutely, I think a perfect episode from start to finish. So go check that out. I'm not going to recap each episode because I did that for literally the other episodes. So, but yeah, number 1, we have episode 35, a 10 out of 10, Jack in the Haunted House. Number 2, we have episode 30, Jack and the Zombies at a 9.8 out of 10. Thought that was an excellent episode. Number 3, I have episode 50, which is the Tale of X-49 at a 9.5 out of 10. Love that episode and that tone. Number 4, I had episode 10, Jack and the Lava Monster at a 9.4 out of 10. Really like that story. And then topping out number 5 here, guys, episode 18, which was Jack and the Ultra Robots at a 9.3 out of 10. There were a couple episodes at 9.3, but I gave that one the bump. I just really enjoyed the action and everything there. So those are my top 5 Samurai Jack episodes in the entire series, and the ones I think are going to be must watch. If anyone wants to get into Samurai Jack, give them those 5 episodes and say, here you go. Like, now go watch the rest. Okay, guys, that's it. That is the end of Samurai Jack. That's the end of Gotta Get Back. We got back to the past. We defeated Aku. It cost us a heavy sacrifice, but yeah, it's just a heartbreaking finale. But again, I want to thank you guys so much. I've had so much fun reviewing the show over this journey here, 62 weeks that you guys have tuned in. So thank you so much, really, for checking out Project Potter. I really do appreciate each and every one of you for stopping by. Hope you enjoyed the content. I tried to make it as fun as possible. Really glad I went back and reviewed the series. But yeah, what a journey it was. An unforgettable Samurai Jack, I think one of the best animated series of all time. Not every episode is a hit, but I mean, the majority of them are. And it's really just a fantastic series. So I want to thank Gendy for creating this magical series and the animation and just all these unforgettable moments. But yeah, guys, you already know. Again, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Check out the other content on the channel, guys. There's a whole bunch of other content here, but thanks for sticking with me. We got back, guys. This beautiful tree set me out. But yeah, guys, like, comment, subscribe, ring that bell notification. And I don't even know an outro, really, because we don't have to get back. So I guess for the final time, guys, I just want to say, we back.